The cabin lights dimmed for only a second, but in that second, every passenger on Flight 907 seemed to inhale at once. It wasn't the ordinary flicker of electrical systems adjusting to turbulence. It was the kind that made hearts drop, the kind that passengers would recall for years as the moment they first realized something was deeply wrong. Asterisk outside the windows. A violent storm raged like a living creature. Sheets of rain slammed against the fuselage with such force that the aircraft reverberated. Wind howled in uneven, terrifying gusts that made the metal creak. Somewhere behind the wings, lightning ripped jagged white scars across the sky, each flash illuminating the cabin like a camera burst. Asterisk Captain Reeves' voice emerged over the intercom. Usually smooth, calm, and steady. Tonight it trembled just enough for the passengers to hear it, just enough for fear to settle in people who previously trusted him without question. Asterisk. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. Swallowing mid-sentence, we have one landing attempt left. The words hung in the air. One, landing, attempt. Seatbelts clicked. Knuckles whitened against armrests. A child whimpered. And even the most travel-hardened business passengers went pale. A single attempt wasn't supposed to happen on commercial flights. Pilots always had options, backup plans, alternate airports. Not tonight. Not in this storm that had shut down every nearby runway except one runway 18B, barely visible through the sheets of rain. Asterisk in seat 14A. An 11-year-old girl named Maya Thompson sat motionless. Her chest rose and fell with each nervous breath, but otherwise she was completely still, listening harder than anyone else. She tried to catch every hint, every vibration, every distant sound from the cockpit. Her brain wasn't panicking like the others. It was calculating running checklists she'd memorized for fun, imagining what the pilots were doing in that exact moment. Asterisk Maya wasn't a normal kid, at least not by most definitions. She didn't draw unicorns or watch endless cartoons. She loved planes passionately, obsessively. For years she had studied manuals and diagrams, watching real-time air traffic footage, practicing landings on advanced flight simulators her dad had installed on their computer. She knew airline callouts better than multiplication tables. To her friends, it was weird. To her father, it was brilliance. Asterisk her father, James Thompson, sat beside her now in 14B, his hand gripping hers tightly. He knew the storm was bad. He could see the fear in the passengers around them. But he kept his voice steady for her sake. Asterisk. It'll be all right, he whispered. Pilots handle rough weather all the time. Asterisk Maya didn't respond. She was watching the oxygen mask sway slightly from turbulence, noticing the unnatural rhythm of the plane's descent. Something was off. She could feel it in the uneven shuddering of the engines and the delayed corrections. She knew enough to sense when the pilot was fighting the aircraft instead of guiding it. Asterisk A. Loud metallic clang jolted the plane downward for a split second. Gasps erupted from the cabin. A woman sobbed into her husband's shoulder. A little boy shouted, "Are we crashing?" And his mother immediately shushed him, voice cracking. Asterisk the intercom clicked again. This time, there was no attempt to hide the strain. Asterisk. This is Captain Reeves, the voice said, breathless. We're experiencing severe crosswinds. Autopilot is disengaged manual controls only. We will attempt landing in 60 seconds. Manual controls only. Maya felt her stomach twist. In storms like this, even veteran pilots fought to maintain control. Why would the autopilot disengage unless asterisk? Daddy, she whispered, the plane isn't responding right. Asterisk, her father put an arm around her shoulders. It's okay, sweetheart, asterisk. No, Maya said, turning toward him with wide, alert eyes. The corrections are too slow. There's something wrong in the cockpit. Asterisk, she wasn't guessing. She was observing. Asterisk, the plane dipped again, harder this time, triggering a chorus of panicked cries. Overhead bins rattled. Someone yelled a prayer. The storm pounded the windows with merciless fury, each raindrop a tiny bullet against the glass. Asterisk, a flight attendant named Marissa hurried down the aisle, attempting calm but failing to hide her terror. Her eyes darted between passengers, checking oxygen masks, ensuring seatbelts were secured. When she passed Maya, something unusual happened. Maya grabbed her sleeve. Asterisk, Miss? Maya said softly but urgently. Asterisk, Marissa blinked, surprised. Sweetheart, you need to stay seated, all right? Asterisk, Maya shook her head. The pilot. Something's wrong up there. He didn't sound okay. Asterisk, Marissa opened her mouth, closed it, then forced a smile. He's stressed, that's all. Storms like this. Asterisk, the plane lurched violently, interrupting her. Food trays rattled. A suitcase thudded from an overhead bin. People screamed. For a moment, gravity felt sideways. Then the captain's voice came again, but weaker. Systems. Failing, can't keep control. Static swallowed the rest. Marissa froze. The color drained from her face. Asterisk, Maya's voice came out steady, hauntingly steady for an 11-year-old. Asterisk. You need to take me to the cockpit. Asterisk, for a heartbeat, the flight attendant simply stared at Maya as if the girl had spoken in another language. The roar of the storm outside filled the silence between them, vibration trembling through the floor. Behind them, passengers were crying, praying, gripping one another's hands. The cabin felt like a fragile world suspended in chaos. Asterisk, Marissa swallowed, trying to regain control of her thoughts. Sweetheart, I know you're scared, she managed, voice trembling, but the cockpit isn't a place passengers can go during. Asterisk, please, Maya interrupted, her voice firmer than before. Listen to the captain's last transmission. He didn't sound stressed. He sounded faint, slow, like he wasn't. All there. Asterisk, Marissa opened her mouth, ready to repeat protocol until another violent shudder tore through the plane, nearly knocking her off balance. Something crashed in the galley behind them. A passenger screamed. Someone else yelled, "We're going down." Asterisk, Marissa steadied herself against a seat, heart hammering. She had flown for years, handled medical emergencies, turbulence, unruly passengers, but this storm was different. The aircraft felt like it was fighting against an invisible hand determined to drag it out of the sky. Asterisk. Maya's small fingers tugged gently on her sleeve. If the captain can't fly, we need to know now, please. Asterisk, a child should not sound that calm. A child should not speak with that much certainty. Something inside Marissa shifted, an instinct, perhaps, or the realization that she had nothing left to lose by checking. Asterisk, she nodded slowly. Stay close. Asterisk, passengers watched as the flight attendant guided the little girl toward the front. Some shouted after her. Asterisk, where are you taking her? Asterisk, shouldn't she be seated? Asterisk, is everything okay? Asterisk, Marissa didn't answer. She didn't have answers. Not yet. The cockpit door loomed ahead, reinforced metal reflecting red emergency lights. Marissa punched in the emergency override code with trembling hands. The lock clicked. She pushed the door open and gasped. Asterisk, Captain Reeves was slumped sideways in his seat, skin pale, sweat beading on his forehead. His hands rested on the controls but lacked strength, slipping each time the aircraft jolted. His breathing was uneven, shallow. Asterisk, Captain. Marissa hurried to his side. Captain Reeves, can you hear me? Asterisk, he blinked slowly as if waking from underwater. Co-pilot. Collapsed. Minutes ago. Can't. Focus. Maya stepped forward, her heart pounding but her mind razor sharp. She knew it. She had felt it from the cabin, the strange lag in corrections, the unstable descent. The aircraft wasn't being guided. It was being held together by a man barely conscious. She approached the empty co-pilot seat. Someone needs to fly the plane. Marissa turned sharply. Absolutely not. Maya, you can't. I can. Maya's voice didn't waver. I know the controls. I know the procedures. I've practiced hundreds of landings, storm landings, emergency descents, wind shear recovery. In simulators, but they're accurate. Marissa stared at her, stunned. You're 11. I'm the only one here who can help right now. Maya looked directly into her eyes, startlingly mature. Please. The captain groaned, his fingers slipping off the yoke as the plane dipped again. Warning alarms chimed. Altitude dropping. Angle incorrect. Speed fluctuating. Every sound was a countdown. There was no more time. Maya, Marissa whispered, voice breaking. If I let you sit there, you have to listen to everything the tower says. No guessing. No trying to be heroic. I'll listen, Maya promised. Reluctant but desperate, Marissa helped her into the co-pilot's chair. Maya's feet barely brushed the rudder pedals. She had to slide forward and stretch her legs to reach them. Her hands lay on the controls, small and steady despite the shaking aircraft. She grabbed the headset from the panel, fitting it over her ears. Okay, she breathed. Radio first. Establish contact. Her fingers moved with surprising familiarity, flipping switches, adjusting the channel. She pressed the transmission button. Tower, this is Flight 907, she said. Her voice was thin but clear. Co-pilot unconscious. Captain impaired. I need immediate guidance. Static crackled, then a stunned voice answered. Flight 907, identify the speaker. This is Maya Thompson, she replied, each word measured and controlled. I'm 11 years old. I have simulator training. I can fly the plane with your help. Silence swallowed the cockpit. Then, in a calm but disbelieving tone, the tower responded, Maya, are you in the co-pilot seat right now? Yes, she said. And we're losing altitude fast. A pause. A long one. Then a new voice, firmer, higher authority came through. All right, Maya, we're going to help you. You're not alone. First instruction, steady your pitch. Hands on yoke. Gently correct left drift. Maya nodded, though no one could see her. Copy. Her hands tightened on the controls. The shift was immediate, not perfect, not smooth, but controlled. The plane stopped its wild wobbling and aligned slightly. Marissa covered her mouth with both hands, tears gathering in her eyes. Captain Reeves, still conscious but fading, looked at Maya through half-lidded eyes. You can do this. He whispered. And Maya, 11 years old, frightened but determined, focused on the storm-filled sky ahead. Okay, she murmured. Tell me what to do next. For a moment, the cockpit felt unnaturally quiet despite the storm thrashing the aircraft from all sides. The only sounds were the hum of the instruments, the soft crackle of the radio, and Maya's shaky breathing in her headset. The runway lights were still invisible behind dense sheets of rain. The clouds swallowing everything in a swirling gray darkness. Maya, the tower said. Voice steady but firm. Your current altitude is dropping too fast. Ease back on the throttle. Only a little. Copy, she answered. Her small fingers curled around the throttle, pushing it back with careful precision. She had practiced this thousands of times in simulators, reducing speed without stalling, feeling the delicate balance in the engine vibrations. But now everything mattered. Now mistakes had consequences. Asterisk, the plane steadied slightly. Not perfectly, but enough. Asterisk, Marissa watched from behind, hands clasped to her chest, eyes flickering between Maya and the fading captain. She had never felt so helpless. Every instinct screamed that she should be comforting passengers or calling someone, or doing anything except watching an 11-year-old fly a Boeing aircraft. Yet she also knew deep down that if Maya hadn't stepped forward, they might already be seconds from disaster. Asterisk, Maya, the tower continued. We're going to guide you one step at a time. You're doing well. Maintain your heading. Asterisk, I'm trying, Maya whispered, adjusting the yoke. The plane tilted left, then right, turbulent winds fighting her every correction. Her arms trembled with effort. The controls were heavy, built for adult strength. Asterisk, use the pedals, the tower advised. Rudder to the right just a touch. Asterisk, Maya pushed her foot forward. The nose swung back toward alignment, the aircraft responding sluggishly but obediently. Asterisk, good, the tower said. Very good. That's textbook. Asterisk, she exhaled slowly, focusing on keeping her hands steady. Just like in the simulator. Just like every time she practiced crosswind approaches after school. Only this wasn't a game, and the storm wasn't scripted. And behind her were 182 people depending on her. Asterisk, the aircraft shook violently as a new gust slammed into it. The right wing dipped sharply. Asterisk, counter it? The tower's voice called. More left aileron steady now. Asterisk, I can't hold it. Maya shouted, her thin arms struggling as the yoke fought back. Asterisk, yes you can, the controller replied. Ease into it. Don't fight the storm, guide the plane through it. Asterisk, she took a breath, loosened her tense grip, and adjusted gently instead of forcing it. Just like her simulator instructor videos had taught, fly with the storm, not against it. The plane leveled slowly, reluctantly. Nice correction, the tower said. You're bringing her under control. Asterisk, behind her, Captain Reeves stirred, his voice barely audible. Kid, you've got instincts? Asterisk, Maya didn't look back. She couldn't afford even a second of distraction. Asterisk, tower, she said. I still can't see the runway. Are we close? Asterisk, about 2 minutes from visual range, the controller answered. But visibility is nearly zero. You'll have to trust your instruments. Asterisk, Maya swallowed hard. Trust your instruments. She had heard that phrase hundreds of times, but saying it and living it were different beasts. The altimeter showed their descent. The artificial horizon tilted and wobbled with turbulence. The approach indicator shifted as she adjusted. Asterisk, Maya, begin extending your flaps 10 degrees, the tower instructed. Asterisk, her hand hovered over the flap lever. She hesitated. Asterisk, you've done this before. The voice reminded gently. Asterisk, she nodded and pulled the lever to the first notch. The plane bumped as the flaps deployed, airflow changing. Another bump. Another correction. She breathed deeply and held the yoke steady. Asterisk, you're doing great, the controller said. Now bring flaps to 20. She complied. Outside, lightning flashed violently, illuminating the clouds in a blinding white silhouette. For a brief second, Maya saw the hint of something below, the faint glow of runway lights fighting through the rain. Asterisk, I see something, she said. Asterisk, good, you're aligned, the tower replied. Maintain glide slope. Nose slightly down, good. Now correct for drift. Tiny adjustments only. Tiny adjustments and easy instruction in theory, impossibly difficult in a storm like this. The plane jerked. Maya corrected. The altimeter dropped. She adjusted. Airspeed wavered. She steadied it. Sweat dripped down her forehead, stinging her eyes. She blinked hard, never looking away from the instruments. Asterisk, Maya, the tower said calmly. You're about 60 seconds from touchdown. Asterisk, her heart thudded against her ribs. 60 seconds. 60 seconds before success or catastrophe. 60 seconds before people lived or... She pushed the thought away. Asterisk, the runway lights became clearer white, yellow, red glowing through the sheets of rain like distant stars. Asterisk, Maya. Reduce throttle another 2%. Asterisk, copy. Asterisk, lower the nose. Just a little. Asterisk, done. Asterisk, you're drifting left. She nudged the yoke right, then corrected with the pedal. Perfect. Asterisk, the ground was rising rapidly beneath them. Too rapidly. Asterisk, Maya, ease back. Don't flare too early. Wait, wait. The rain pounded harder, almost blinding her. Now. The tower instructed. Maya pulled back gently. The plane floated for a second too high, too tense, too fragile. Then contact. Asterisk, a hard bounce. A louder one. The tires screeched against the wet runway. Maya held the yoke, fighting the instinct to pull up. Brace. Someone screamed behind her. The plane slammed down again, hard but held. Engage brakes. The tower ordered. Asterisk, her small hand pressed the brakes. The engines roared in reverse thrust. The aircraft shuddered violently, slowing, sliding slightly on the slick surface, but slowing. Slowing. Asterisk, finally. Rolling. Asterisk, and then crawling. Asterisk, the storm raged outside. But the nightmare descent was over. They had landed, and they were alive. For a long moment, no one in the cockpit spoke. The only sounds were the deep thrum of the engines winding down and the heavy pattering of rain hammering the fuselage. The storm still raged ferociously outside, wind battering the aircraft like a beast angry at losing its prize, but inside, an extraordinary stillness settled over everyone on board. Asterisk, Maya's hands, still gripping the yoke, trembled uncontrollably now that the danger had passed. Her lungs ached from the breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Her entire small frame shook with a mix of exhaustion, fear, and relief that came crashing over her like a tidal wave. Asterisk, Marissa exhaled a sob she hadn't intended to let out. You did it, she whispered, voice breaking in half. Maya, you actually did it. Asterisk, the captain, weak but conscious, turned his head slightly. His lips parted in a faint, weary smile, gratitude shining in his dimming eyes. Kid, that landing, he whispered, voice hoarse from effort. Better than some pilots I've flown with. Asterisk, Maya's breath hitched. Tears burned at her eyes, not from fear anymore, but from something softer, something overwhelming. I just followed instructions, she murmured, her voice cracking. Asterisk, you did more than that, Marissa replied. You saved every single one of us. Asterisk, behind them, the cabin erupted, not in calm, not in organized applause, but in pure, unfiltered human emotion. People sobbed openly. Others hugged whoever was close. Shaky laughter broke through the crying. A man shouted, "We're on the ground," while a woman whispered a prayer of thanks over and over again. It was chaos, but a warm kind, born from survival. Asterisk, then, slowly at first, the applause started. Scattered claps. Then more. Then a building wave of cheers that swelled into thunderous gratitude directed at an 11-year-old girl sitting in the co-pilot's seat, tears streaking down her cheeks. Asterisk, Maya. Someone shouted, "Let her come out." Asterisk, Maya saved us? Asterisk, we want to see her. Asterisk, The sound drifted into the cockpit like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Maya lifted her hands from the controls finally, her fingers stiff from the strain. She hesitated, feeling suddenly shy. Somehow facing those cheers felt scarier than landing the plane. Marissa placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Come on," she said softly. "They want to thank you." With shaky legs, Maya slid off the seat. Her feet touched the cockpit floor, then the corridor carpet, each step surreal. She felt like she was walking through a dream as Marissa guided her forward. The cabin door swung open. The cheers erupted even louder. Passengers stood, reaching out their hands toward her, clapping, crying, calling her name. A woman pressed her hands to her heart and mouthed thank you through tears. A man in a business suit knelt so he could be at eye level with her as she passed, whispering, "You're a hero, young lady." Someone else held out a stuffed bear from their bag and said, "This belongs to you now." Maya flushed red. Overwhelmed by everything, the attention, the noise, the realization of what she had done. She pressed closer to Marissa for comfort, gripping her hand. Her father, who had remained frozen in 1-4B after witnessing the impossible, finally broke through the crowd to reach her. His face was streaked with tears he didn't care about hiding. The moment he reached her, he wrapped her into his arms so tightly she felt her breath catch against his chest. "Maya," he whispered, his voice raw with emotion. "You saved my life. You saved everyone's life." He leaned back just enough to cradle her face in his hands. "I'm so proud of you. So proud." Maya's tears spilled freely as she clung to him. The storm outside suddenly felt irrelevant. Everything she needed in that moment was right there in her father's embrace. Emergency personnel boarded as the applause continued, gently assisting the captain onto a stretcher. Even he, in his weakened state, lifted a hand to wave to Maya as he was carried out. "Flying school," he called weakly. "Promise me you'll go." She managed a tiny, shaky smile. "I will," she whispered back. When she was finally escorted off the plane, more applause greeted her outside passengers from the terminal, airport staff, emergency responders. Bright lights flashed as photos were taken, but no one pushed too close. They didn't crowd or overwhelm her. They simply honored her. An airport official crouched down to her level and spoke softly, "Maya Thompson, the world will want to hear your story." She shook her head gently, gripping her father's hand tighter. "I didn't do it for the world," she said softly. "I did it because it was the right thing to do." Her father looked at her with awe. "You did it because you're incredible." Later, as the storm eased into a tired drizzle and the chaos around her faded, Maya stood by a terminal window, looking out at the runway lights glowing through the rain. She let her forehead rest against the cool glass. She had loved flying before tonight, but now she understood it in a way she never had before. Not just the mechanics, not just the controls, not just the procedures, but the heart of it. Flying meant responsibility. Flying meant courage. Flying meant protecting lives. And in one extraordinary night, she had proven she possessed all three. As she stood there with her father beside her, the night quiet around them, Maya whispered softly, "I really did do it." And she'd saved them all.